Hi, I'm Jason Sullivan of On Subrogation, and in this video we're going to follow up on a nuance to one of our most watched videos. That's the Federal Tort Claims Act video. In that video we discuss the timeframes that you have to submit a claim to the federal government. In short, you have 2 years to submit your administrative claim on the standard Form 95 to the appropriate government agency. If the government doesn't respond, you can deem that a rejection after 6 months. What happens, though, when you have two potentially at-fault parties? You have a U.S. postal vehicle that's approaching an intersection and going to turn left. You have a private passenger vehicle, someone not working for the government, coming from the other direction, and they collide in the middle of the intersection. One of them careens off and hits your insured, who was lawfully stopped at the stoplight. What do you do then? Well, you're going to want to pursue both parties. There's always a risk that the court or a fact finder will find that one was more at fault than the other. So you're going to want to make a claim against the private passenger vehicle, just like you would in any ordinary subrogation claim that you see every day, as well as making that administrative claim against the government under that standard Form 95. The real key that comes into play here, though, is the timing of everything. As I mentioned, you have 2 years to submit the standard Form 95. And then the government has at least 6 months to make a decision whether to reject it or not. You can't file suit unless you meet that claim notice requirement and allow 6 months to go by and allow the government to accept or reject that claim. If you're in a state with a standard 2-year negligence statute of limitations, and that's going to apply to your claim against that private passenger vehicle, if you don't timely file that standard Form 95, you may create a pinch for yourself. Let's say you don't file that standard Form 95 until, let's call it 19 months after the loss happens. You're still 5 months before the deadline, so you've got plenty of time. But now you don't get a response from the government right away. If you took no action at all, you would not be able to file a lawsuit against that private passenger vehicle, because that 2-year statute of limitations that applies to them is going to expire before the government 6 months it up. So the important takeaway is, if you have multiple vehicles and one of them is a federal government vehicle, you're going to want to make sure that you file that standard Form 95 as early as possible. You want to leave yourself time in case it wasn't sent to the right agency or wasn't filled out correctly or it's not accepted, to get that form in and have that 6-month period for the government to accept or reject the claim be over and done with well in advance of your statute of limitations to pursue the tortfeasor. The main issue that can come up is if you don't have that standard form time period expire before the statute of limitations in the state, you may be forced to file a suit in state court against that private passenger vehicle driver. And then you would have to wait and then file in federal court against the United States under your Federal Tort Claims Act. The problem with that is you've now just doubled, if not more, the court costs you've spent on that one single file. You've also given each party an opportunity to not bring in the other party, because the United States can't be brought into state court, and the United States may not bring in that private passenger vehicle into federal court because it's to their advantage just to have an empty chair. No one's going to defend, and they can just point the finger, and it becomes easy for the court to say, yep, it's the party who's not here who's at fault. So you may get inconsistent judgments between the state court and the federal court, and it may result in you not recovering anything at all on the claim. So the important takeaways, if you have multiple vehicles involved and there's the federal government, make sure that that standard Form 95 is done correctly and it's done timely, but not just timely, but early, to allow that 6-month period to expire before any state level statute of limitations is going to apply for that private passenger vehicle. I'm Jason Sullivan of Rathbone Group, and that's the long and short of it.